everybody, welcome back to my Big Sister podcast. My name is Grace and this is my big sister Josie.
Hello, and in today's episode we're going to be getting into Valentine's Day, love, relationships, all of that stuff.
Yeah,
we've got quite a lot of questions from you guys.
And Valentine's Day is coming up the week we post this, so hopefully we can put your mind at ease or give you some ideas or some help on your dilemmas before the big day. But yeah, I hope you're doing well. We're in our kind of pink outfits. I'm wearing a pink outfit. Josie's is beige pink.
It is light pink.
And we've got a little guest joining us on the sofa here if you're watching on video. But I hope you really enjoyed this week's episode and let's get into it. Okay, so this week is Valentine's Day on Friday and I feel like there can be so much pressure around Valentine's Day. I especially felt this growing up. Like, I feel like it was like the one day where if you're not in a relationship or even if you are, like there's so much pressure to like be going on a date that day or like have plans.
If you are in a relationship, it's maybe even more pressure because you feel like you should be doing the most romantic thing ever with your partner and it's just like ugh. And then if you're single you just feel bad about yourself.
I feel like when I was growing up in school, I mean, I didn't have like a proper boyfriend until I was in like year 11, so like the last year of high school. And for me at the time that felt like so old and I like felt like I was always going to be single. Like I felt like I was, you know, like never going to get a boyfriend because I didn't have one, even though literally I was 15 when I got one, so that's so young. But I feel like in school, like even in primary school, all my friends had boyfriends.
Really?
Yeah, I remember being in year 3 and all the girls had boyfriends and I didn't. And like every year of school I was like, I'm gonna get a boyfriend for Valentine's Day this year, and then every year I was like, oh, I'm single again. And literally every year, and then all through secondary school I feel like it was such a big thing at my school, at least in my year group, of like people getting into relationships and like who was gonna have a kiss first and like all this stuff. And then I kind of felt like I was like a bit falling behind because I never even like kissed a boy until I was 15.
That is so young.
I know, when I think of it now I'm like, that is a baby. Like 15 years old is a teenager, like a tiny child. But at the time it was like, even people around me would be like, oh my god, you've never had a boyfriend. Like it was a big thing of like pressure. Oh. Yeah, I don't know if it's because maybe, I mean, did you feel that pressure like when you were in school? Did everyone have boyfriends, or do you think it's because I'm 10 years younger than Josie, so maybe it was just our kind of generation that felt that way?
I think I had a quote unquote boyfriend when I was 14, but like it wasn't a real boyfriend, it was just awkward and weird. But I don't, so maybe that's why I didn't feel that pressure, because
you had a boyfriend
when I was 14. But I think maybe once you got to maybe 16 or 17 and there were a few friends who hadn't got boyfriends, and then everyone was like, why? And obviously this is completely not even including like my friends who are gay or you know,
didn't know who they wanted to
like
date.
Like what if you were just questioning your sexuality? That's a whole other side of things as well. That people just presume you're going to be getting a boyfriend if you're a girl. It's just like a bit strange, to be honest, when you look back at it. But
I remember even in primary school, like I remember one of the mums saying to us girls like, has anyone got a boyfriend yet? And like
that is
seeing it as like really a funny thing. But yeah, like what if you didn't want a boyfriend? What if you wanted a girlfriend? And like
the assumption?
It's like the assumption that like you guys all have, and it would be like, do you have any crushes of anyone at school? I feel like that was a thing people
I find that
would
really
say to
weird
us.
If an adult would say that to a child. Like that is actually kind of creepy.
But I remember that happening. Like,
but yeah, there's a lot of like external pressure from adults even, which is weird.
But yeah, I feel like it's such a weird thing to expect. Like in primary school, I remember my friend's mum saying like, have you got a crush on anyone? And like, what's the purpose of saying that? Like obviously you're not going to have like a proper boyfriend when you're in primary school. Like I don't really get
kind of creepy
why we were like pushed into that.
If there's any adults out there, don't say that.
Yeah, I guess maybe the adults think it's like cute, but I
find it weird.
Yeah, I'm gonna make sure that doesn't happen.
Yeah, why are we talking about like primary school age children having crushes on people?
Yeah,
that's
and
creepy.
I remember even Valentine's Day in primary school, like one of the mums had like bought presents for the boy to give to the girl on Valentine's Day. Like I don't know, maybe they just saw it as like a a sweet, cute kind of thing.
Yeah.
But still, I feel like growing up seeing that, even in primary school, I was like, oh my God, like so and so's got a Valentine's Day date, and I'm like 8 years old and I haven't got one yet. Like, I feel like it was such a pressure.
Yeah. Well, it's like in the Mean Girls where it's like, 5 for you, Glen Coco, you go Glen
Yeah,
Coco.
yeah, where they were getting the little candy canes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like that is such a big thing. And every year in secondary school, I was like, someone's gonna confess their love to me this Valentine's Day, and it never happened. And then I would be like, oh, maybe they're waiting till April Fool's Day and they're gonna like prank me on April Fool's Day and actually say they like me, and then they never did. And I was like, oh, I have to wait another year now.
It's just such a weird way of like, that is not how actual relationships ever work.
Yeah.
But for some reason we just think it will
In
when we're that
school,
young.
yeah, I feel like it's just such a weird thing. But I don't even know, like, where I remember in primary school having an assembly about Valentine's Day.
Really?
And them saying like the original story of like Saint Valentine. So I remember that happening, and I think that's probably like my earliest memory of like being aware of what it was. But yeah, I feel like it was just a weird pressure of and generally not just on Valentine's Day, but I felt like that growing up, like you haven't had a boyfriend
I
yet.
just missed the memo on the pressure of the Valentine's Day. Like, I don't know.
Maybe it was different when you were growing up. I don't know. I feel like I was watching lots of like American movies and like on like Disney Channel and everything. They would be like, Valentine's Day is a big thing.
I definitely remember, wondering if I was going to have a boyfriend on Valentine's Day, but I don't think I ever felt super, super pressured into it. I don't know.
I just feel like there was such a big pressure on it might have just been like my school specifically, or just me in my own head. But yeah, I remember thinking like every year it was like, oh, I don't have a boyfriend again this year. It's kind of like a marker of like, if you're still single, you feel like it's a reminder probably, or at least that's how I used to feel. But I feel like now that I'm older, there's such a trend of like Galentine's Day, which I think is so nice and so fun. A trend of like meeting up with your girlfriends on Valentine's Day. And I made videos about it last year about how Valentine's Day doesn't have to just be about like romantic love, and you can just use it to like say to your friends like, I love you, thanks for like being a good friend this year, cute. Or like to your mom or like to your siblings or anyone. Like, I feel like we should use it as like not just for boyfriend girlfriends or girlfriend girlfriends, like it should be for friendships as well. So I think that's really nice. And like when people do like Valentine's dinners on Valentine's Day,
that's cute,
or having like a pamper day, I feel like that's a really good idea, because I feel like if you're like me and you like are single and you are feeling that pressure, it's nice to like distract yourself and like spend time with your friends, or like even just with your mum, like go out for dinner or to just like do something, or even like self-love, just like have a pamper night and like watch a movie that you like, or take yourself out to the cinema, because I feel like it can be a bit sad like if you feel like you're kind of sat at home and all your friends are on dates with their partners and you don't have one.
But then also you could just do nothing, and I think that's fine too.
Yeah,
like,
it is just sort of like a made up. It's quite
exhausting to have to try and, you know, do all this stuff just because it's a day that everyone says. But
I think it's nice. The day. And like this year it's a Friday, so I feel like it's nice to like go out for dinner with your friends, or like have a plan, because I feel like when I was single on Valentine's Day, I would be like thinking like I would be very aware of it. It would be hard to like forget what day it was.
The other problem with going out though is the restaurants will jack up the prices so high.
And it's all couples. Yeah. And then they have like Valentine's Day like set meal plans and stuff.
So maybe try and find someone that isn't doing a Valentine's Day promotion.
Or you could like cook at home or get a takeaway or something. Get pizza with your friends.
Yeah.
But I feel like, Valentine's Day can be a pressure. And on social media too, I feel like so many people get engaged on Valentine's Day. I feel like every Valentine's Day when I open Instagram, it's like 1,000 engagement rings, or just like people getting all these really extravagant presents, which I feel like... I feel like with at least me and my boyfriend, I feel like I don't want to be doing like massive presents. Like I feel like
do presents?
Yeah, I normally get him a card and then like a little silly cute present, like a jelly cat or something, like, or just something silly, or some chocolate or something. But some people do like big presents, but I feel like it's fairly close to Christmas, and like
no one has any money that time.
I'm all presented out. Yeah, like I've run out of ideas of things to buy for him by Valentine's Day.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I'm just a bit of a Valentine's Day Scrooge, but I just don't really go all in with it, really. I maybe get a card, but that's about it, to be
Aw.
honest.
I feel like we always go out for dinner normally, or like do
Yeah.
something together. We just spend the evening together
Yeah,
wherever, whatever
Well,
we're
I like
doing.
doing activities, but I just feel like you've just had Christmas. I'm sick of buying presents at that point. Like, I
Yeah.
don't really need another thing in our lives that is unnecessary.
Yeah, I feel like Instagram and social media has caused that pressure of like, if you are like someone that posts a lot, you feel like you have to post like a picture of all your presents. Otherwise, I feel like people in the comments would start being like, oh, your boyfriend doesn't love you that much. Like, he didn't.
Would they?
Yeah, no, I feel like there's certain types of influencers, like, I'm thinking like Molly May. I know they have broken up now, but like, I feel like every Valentine's Day she would post like all the presents Tommy got
That's
her.
so
and, like,
much pressure.
it's like
that
a big
cannot
thing
be
of,
good
like,
for your relationship.
those big
to have
things
that
of
pressure.
roses, you know, there's like massive ones of all the perfectly red roses. I feel like that's the thing everyone like posts on social media.
This is when it gets to the point where I just say you need to get outside and touch grass, and like no one is doing this in real life.
I know, but it's weird because I feel like I'm so like involved in social media that I'm so aware of like what's going on, and yeah, it is a big thing of like I think, I mean, I don't feel this pressure on myself, but I think some content creators and influencers feel like, yeah, it's like a show of how much your partner loves you. So if you're not posting all these presents, people are going to start questioning your relationship.
I actually think
which is so strange.
The
and
more
so,
you post about how great your relationship is, the worse your relationship is.
Yeah.
That is just a fact.
I do think that sometimes that you see these couples that are like always posting videos together and those like really set up shots of
love
like,
you so much, babe.
yeah, and then it's like they're kind of trying to prove to the internet that they're happy, but actually they might not be.
And then they'll break
closed
up
doors.
like and a year later, and you'll be like, I knew it.
Yeah, I feel like it's strange, and like I do see like these cute couple videos that look really cute, but then it'll be like them waking up and I'm like, you got out of bed, did your hair and makeup, set up a tripod,
They're always wearing makeup.
pretended to fall back asleep, and like it is really weird when you think about like the production that goes behind those sorts of couple videos.
Yeah.
And people, and like especially young teenagers who might not realize that those videos are like staged, they'll sit at home and see those and be like, why isn't my life like that? When really I mean, it goes back to what we've said before on this podcast, talking about all different types of kind of content you see online. It's all pretty much staged.
Yeah.
And especially those relationship ones, it just makes me laugh when I see like a video of them like kissing or cuddling on the sofa, and I'm like, you're sat like filming that, and it's just funny when you think about what goes into it.
It can just really give you an unrealistic expectation of what a relationship should be. Like, it doesn't have to be super, super lovey-dovey all the time. It's just not realistic. And, you know, what you see online is just not necessarily the reality. They could be having massive arguments behind the scenes.
Yeah.
They could be cheating on each other. They could be having like massive jealousy fights, and you just don't actually know.
Yeah, I mean, it's like when you see, I feel like a lot of like Love Island people, if you watch that in the UK, like portray this like perfect relationship because, but the reason they're doing that most of the time is because they earn money from the two of them being together, which is another weird dynamic of like, they feel like they have to stay together because they're going to make more money being together, and it's like basically their job to be in the relationship. I watched this documentary by Chloe Burrows, who is a like Love Island contestant, and she did this whole documentary on Channel 4 about like what goes on behind the scenes in those sorts of relationships, and like how a lot of them are all just like PR, and like a lot of them aren't actually together, and they're all just doing it for the brand deals. And she like in this documentary, she like staged a paparazzi shot of like her and this other Love Islander, and then it was all in the newspapers, and she was getting offers of brand deals with him, and like it just showed you like how much money there is in like posting as a couple online.
But do you think these people like are actually in a relationship but it is PR, or are they just fully not in a relationship? They don't talk to each other outside of it.
Well, I guess it depends.
It's a bit of a grey line, isn't
I think
it?
the people that like met on Love Island probably do, or at least at one point were in like a real relationship, but then I guess it's kind of the same way where like sometimes people might stay with their partner because they have children, and like they're kind of they're not fully committed anymore, but they're staying together like for something else. It's sort of like that, where it's like you're staying together because of the job and the fact that you are these two people that
That
like
must be
everyone
very
knows.
strange for your brain.
I know,
like,
it's like living in like the Truman Show.
it's like living in a reality TV set.
Yeah,
That's
it's like
scary.
living in a movie. And yeah, like those people that film every part of their life, like them cuddling in bed, I'm like, what? Like your whole life is...
Don't even get me started on the mom YouTubers.
Oh gosh,
well,
yeah.
parent YouTubers.
Oh no, that's a whole nother thing we could talk about. But yeah, I don't agree with the people that post their children online because it's just crazy, and there's just so many safety issues as well for those children. But yeah, I just think if you're sat at home on Valentine's Day comparing your Valentine's Day date, or the fact that you might not have someone to go out with, to these people on social media, especially like the influencers, it is all just like set up. And also another thing about influencer content, if they're posting on Valentine's Day like their date, they've probably pre-filmed that on a different day, so they're probably not even doing that on the actual day of Valentine's Day, because a lot of influencers will like pre-film, like say they're getting ready and filming their dinner, they probably did that like a few days beforehand at least. So honestly, if you're sat at home thinking, oh, these people in these they're going for dinner in London at these fancy restaurants, they probably filmed that a few days ago when it was cheaper and they didn't have to pay for the Valentine's Day price. So yeah, I think just learning that everything you see online is not realistic. And yeah, I think just trying to either forget about it, like Josie said, she wants to try and forget about Valentine's Day. I think for me, I would rather spend it with like my friends, or yeah, like have like a pizza night, or like do some skincare with your friends and like have a sleepover or something could be nice.
I think for me, it's not that I like, you know, doing romantic things and having nice date nights and things, but I think I'd rather just do that throughout the whole year and make it more of a consistent thing, like even once a week going out on a date night or something, rather than putting all this pressure onto one day. It's just so much pressure. Like, why do you need to do that?
I know, I always see like discourse about like, well, if you love them, why aren't you showing them it every day of the year? Like, why are we just expected to like prove our love on that one day? Which I think is true, but then also I think it is nice, like in your day-to-day life with a partner, you're not always being super romantic, so it's nice to like have one day where you like spend, you know, have that actual time dedicated to like spend with each other.
Yeah, I guess. I think, I just I'm a bit of a
Josie's
Valentine's Day Scrooge.
I think it's really cute and I like Valentine's Day, but when I didn't have a boyfriend, I didn't like it because it would stress me out.
I think for me, it's kind of like Easter for me, being, you know, I'm not really much of a Christian, to be honest. So, like, I feel like the same way about Valentine's Day as I feel about Easter, you know? Like,
Well, you don't believe in love?
I'll eat a bit of chocolate, but I'm not going to be, you know, planning out my whole year based around this one event.
Yeah, I feel like for me, Valentine's Day, I sort of see similar to like my anniversary with my boyfriend. Like we'll go out for dinner, we'll get each other a cute little card and a gift.
I think
but,
anniversary for me feels more special than Valentine's Day, because it's kind of like a birthday. It's like a day that is only specific to you, whereas these like Valentine's Day and very specific days, everyone is doing the same thing on the same day. And I like the little privateness of a birthday or an anniversary, because it's just your special day.
Yeah, I know what you mean, but I still like Valentine's Day. It's fun, I think it's cute and fun. Okay, I'm gonna look at some questions. We asked you guys for some more like general relationship questions and some Valentine's Day ones, so let's have a look what you guys have asked. Someone said how to cope with your best friend or friend group being in relationships and you're not. I feel like that can be really hard, and I feel like this was definitely me when I was younger, like growing up. But I think what you come to realise when you get out of school and grow older is that the majority of people that are in relationships, especially those ones where you're much younger, like as I said, primary school, and people were in relationships then, and like secondary school.
You won't even remember the name of those people.
Yeah.
Let alone stay in the relationship.
I mean, obviously there is like people that do stay together, and like I have been with my boyfriend since year 11, but I wasn't in a relationship for all of my school years apart from the last year at school. And I feel like all those friends that were in relationships from year 7 to year 10 that I was like, you know, feeling a bit left out because they were all in relationships and like they were getting ahead in life. I feel like that's kind of the main pressure I felt of, like my friends are one step ahead of me because like I've never had a boyfriend. They've already ticked that off their list of like stuff to do to make you like a grown up or whatever. But those people none of them are still with the partner they were with in those younger years at school. Whereas then I was a bit older. I was still quite young when I got with my boyfriend, which is quite unusual. But like now we're still together, and none of those people are in their previous relationships. So honestly, yeah, I mean, it's so nice to have a boyfriend when you're in school, and I feel like that is like a innocence of like teenage love and like being with someone and like having your first kiss or whatever in school. But it shouldn't be like such a big pressure, and like I don't think you have to be dating anyone, you know, at any age really, if you don't want to. Like you can be single into your 20s and not date anyone. Like you could be single your whole life if you wanted to. Like,
and some of my friends, I think back to some of my friends' relationships. I don't, if anyone's listening and thinking back, if any of my friends are listening and thinking back, I'm not talking about you, I think back to some of my friends' relationships, and I'm like, I think they would have been way better off if they just didn't have
single.
that relationship.
Because
they've got a lot of trauma, they've got a lot of issues.
Well, yeah, that's the thing with like those young relationships, especially. I feel like there's some people I knew that were dating people who were older than them at the time, and I think that can cause like there can be such issues with that sort of like power imbalance. And like if you're dating someone a bit older than you, even if it's a few years, I feel like if you're in school, those few years can make such a big difference in like maturity. And yeah, those people were probably not treated very well, and like they had a horrible time, and it ruined that year at school, and like they would have been better off single.
Yeah, so obviously you can learn a lot from relationships, but you can also get some quite horrible experiences that are hard to come back from. So it's not always a positive thing.
Yeah, and I feel like if you've been in relationships when you're younger, that then affects how you act in adult relationships. And that can sometimes be for the better. Like if you've learned how to have a nice relationship and you've learned good things, but then you can also learn like bad behaviors and like bad habits, which can then pass on into your adult relationships.
Especially in those younger, earlier relationships, you're not going to be acting the best probably.
No.
There's going to be a lot of like weird things going on.
Yeah, like I feel like people in my school were always like, breaking up and like getting back together.
Yeah,
and, like,
the way people
with their
treat
friends
each other,
and everything. Yeah.
It's just not ideal most of the time. So if you do end up having to wait a bit longer, then that's perfectly fine, and probably better in the long run, to be honest.
If you're single for longer, like you learn what you want, and you might be watching your friends in these relationships, but you can also learn from your friends' relationships and like not make the mistakes they've made, which I think is actually a benefit of staying single, because like you can see what your friends go through, but you are not actually the one going through those bad times, and you can kind of learn from what they've done and like who they've dated. And I think once you're older, you're going to know more what you want, and like know yourself more as a person, and like learn what you would want in a relationship. So I feel like there's kind of lots of benefits to being single, and obviously if that's not your choice, you're going to be feeling like maybe bad about it or left out. But honestly, the grass is not always greener, and like if you were in a relationship and then you end up like heartbroken or like with trauma or stuff from a relationship, you might have wished you'd stayed single. So there's always going to be like you're always going to wish for what you don't have.
Being single, you're only one step away from a great relationship. If you're in a bad relationship, you're two very difficult steps away from being in a good relationship.
Yeah, and I feel like those people you date when you're younger, like it is a big thing to like date someone and share your life with someone, and like especially when you're younger, like I feel like we should think more about like who we're choosing as partners. Like obviously when you're young, it's easier said than done, but like there's some people, a lot of my friends now, where we look back and we're like, oh my god, why did you let that man in your house? Like they met your parents, like that's so weird. Like that they were so like in your life, and then now as we're adults and you see him like on a weekend, bump into him and you're like, oh, that's weird, like he's been in your house. Like it's kind of weird like how many people that you know, that if you've like dated a lot of people, to like bump into them in the street, it can be like awkward if you see people that you like used to know. It's kind of strange, isn't it?
Yeah, but I guess that's just life, and that is kind of getting older, is eventually you get to the point where there's just people from your past who are basically strangers, but at one point they were the most important person. You thought they were the love of your life, but then they'll just become strangers. And I think that's kind of an experience that I think is quite important to go through, is just realizing that it's not that deep a lot of the time, and you know, not every single relationship is going to be the one, and I think learning that is quite useful.
Yeah But yeah, I just feel like you are always going to wish for what you don't have. So if you're single right now and you're still quite young, like, I always think like the universe is doing what's right for us. And maybe if you're single right now, or you've been single your whole life, like you just weren't ready yet. And like I know people always say though to people that are single, like, it'll come when it's least expecting.
Yeah, that is actually very annoying when you're single and there's people who are in long-term relationships
like,
who are like, don't worry,
it's...
I'll come along. I feel like that could be us right now.
Yeah, we don't want to be annoying because obviously
I'm literally married.
But yeah, Josie's married,
so...
and I've been my boyfriend for quite a lot of years.
So sorry if anyone
Sorry for being annoying.
Yeah.
But I do honestly think like the universe knows when you're ready for something, and like if you haven't been in a relationship yet, if you had have been in one, it might have been at some horrible one, and like that's why you've been single.
And I think spend the time, like, it's really great when you're single to be able to spend that time getting to know yourself and getting to know what you like and what you're interested in, what your hobbies are, what your interests are, and that is how you're gonna, you know, connect with people who have the same interests and hobbies as you. And yeah, I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. Like, I think some of the best times in my life have been when I was single and just having fun with my friends. So
yeah, I feel like as well when you're single, like you're obviously learning to be much more independent, and like there's some people that might have been in a relationship from like that super young age, their whole life,
serial
basically
monogamous.
Yeah, and like they've never had like life on their own, and I think it can be good to learn to be good on your own, and then once you've learned that you're okay and you won't like just be so sad and die on your own, then like you're not as scared as well of leaving potentially bad relationships, because there's people that might be in a bad relationship and they won't leave because they're like, I couldn't be single, I would be so unhappy. Whereas if you've had like,
that is not a good situation to be in.
Whereas
you feel trapped because of that.
If you had like a good few years single and you know you were happy, then you would be happier to leave a situation you weren't, you know, fully happy in, because you know you'd be happier on your own, like, you know, you've done that in the past. So I think being single, honestly, I mean, we're both not single, so it feels like stupid to say, but like I think it can be a good thing. And like I honestly think like the universe is gonna put you in place at the right time of like where you're meant to be. Also, another thing is like, even I feel like we're still very young. Like, you're 31, I'm 22.
Am I young?
31 is young in comparison to your whole life. And like some people that end up married or might be in these long-term relationships younger, you don't know if when you're all like 50 or 60, they might be split up with their partners, they might have been married loads of times. So like you just really can't compare when you're younger. Like, you can't feel bad because your best friend is in a long-term relationship, because in 10 years you might be the one in that long-term relationship, and they might have just broken up with their long-term partner and they have no idea what to do with their life. And like,
there's so many different stages of life, like, because now I'm 31, I feel like in a few years time I'll probably start to get to the stage where my friends start going through divorces. Like, not that I think any of my friends who are married are going to get divorced, but you know, it's just the phases that you go through. And at one point you might be, you know, worrying if you've even had your first relationship. And the next stage is worrying about who's getting engaged and who's getting married. Then you're worrying about who's having babies. Then the next stage is who's getting a divorce. Next stage is who's died.
Second marriage.
Like, there's throughout your whole life, you're always going to have something new to be worrying about and
feeling like behind it.
Yeah, so this is just kind of life, I guess. And I guess the real thing to do is to just not worry so much and not compare yourself, and try to just stay in your own lane and be like, this is just what I'm doing. And
I think it's so easy to compare like everyone's timelines of like their life and like what they've done, and like it can kind of feel like you have like this list of check boxes, and like to move out, get your first boyfriend, maybe like buy a house or get engaged, and like all these things. But when you realize that like actually everyone's on such different timelines, and like like we were saying in another episode we filmed recently about traveling, like some of my friends right now are going traveling, whereas I am living at home. But then it's like there's so many different paths that you can be on, and like those people that went traveling, maybe they're going to take longer to like decide where they want to live, but then maybe when I'm older, I'm going to feel the need to want to go traveling because I didn't do it when I was younger, and I might take a break in my career.
Become a grey nomad.
Yeah, so like honestly, everyone's on such different timelines, and I think when you learn to not compare yourself with other people's is when you'll finally find peace. Okay, let's look at some other questions. Someone said, do you have any London recommendations for Valentine's Day dinner?
Gold.
What?
There's so many. I don't even know where I'd start.
Yeah, I feel like, okay, I'm trying to think. Well, my food recommendations are a bit biased because I am vegan, so maybe I'm biased. But if you're also vegan, then I probably have some good recommendations.
Tofu vegan.
Well, I'm trying to think of like romantic places for Valentine's Day. But yeah, Tofu Vegan, that's an amazing vegan Chinese restaurant. There's quite a few, I think there's 4 different ones in London now. It's like the best Chinese food. And you are not vegan, and I took you there and you really liked it.
It's really good.
I'm trying to think where's like a nice place for a date.
I always feel like going up any of the tall skyscrapers, the famous ones, are always good for a date.
See, I don't think that's fun to me.
I love that. I used to love it anyway.
I feel like they're so touristy, and like I don't think the food would actually be good up there. I mean, I've never really been up one of those.
Well, then you don't know.
But I feel like going up the Shard is just like such a touristy
Not
thing.
the Shard.
And, like, the food would be bad.
The walkie-talkie, that one's good. The one that's like
Sky Garden, it's called, isn't it?
Yeah, Sky Garden, that's it. That one. Well, to be fair, I haven't actually been there for quite a few years, but I used to go up there quite a lot, and it is good. They have a few different restaurants up there, and you can also just go up to the Sky Garden for free to just look around, so you don't even have to spend any money to go up there.
Yeah, that's fun if like you're looking for something for free to do, because then you could just go up there to look at the view and then go to like Nando's afterwards, you know, if you're trying to save money.
Well, that's the thing. I just feel like with a lot of these London recommendations, it's just so expensive. So it's kind of tricky.
I know if you're not vegan, I know a lot of my friends love Flatiron. I don't know if you've been there, the steak place.
Yeah, I've heard about that.
I feel like that's very like Valentine's Day coded sort of restaurant, but obviously
you have to eat a steak on Valentine's Day.
I don't eat steak, so I can't comment on that.
I'm really bad at remembering the names of anywhere, but I would say my top tip would be if you listen to the Off Menu podcast.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
They have a list of everything that has ever been recommended, and it's on a map. I think you can look it up. I think maybe it's on Reddit or something, or on the website. I would say just do that, and you're pretty much guaranteed to have good options.
The Off Menu podcast, if anyone hasn't listened to that, it's a podcast where they have celebrity guests on each week, and they say like their dream main course, their dream starter, their dream dessert, and a lot of the guests are from London, so they will give good London recommendations. I really recommend that podcast if you are a foodie and you love food. I love listening to that podcast, even when I don't know who the guest is, and even they don't even have video on that podcast, and I feel like I never listen to audio only podcast, but that's the only one I will listen to because it's so good that it's worth listening to.
And I always get so hungry whenever I listen to it, and then I always want to eat something really good afterwards, and it's so fun. Okay,
someone else asked, what should I buy my boyfriend for Valentine's Day? I feel like that's very hard. I feel like for me, boys are so hard to buy for. Like whenever I need to get my dad a birthday present or like my boyfriend a present, it's so hard to think of things, because I think obviously because I'm like quite a girly girl and I can think of ideas for a girl. Like I could tell you what to buy your girlfriend for Valentine's Day, but boyfriend, it is harder because it really just depends what he likes. Like normally my boyfriend, like we always buy each other the little jelly cats, but like I feel like some boys wouldn't appreciate a jelly cat, they wouldn't really get it. I feel like food's always a good one, like some nice chocolates or like their favorite of something, like their favorite food or their favorite, or to like cook them their favorite meal. That can be cute on Valentine's Day, especially if you like don't cook often. Like you could try and learn a recipe and like cook them dinner. I think for a boy, like
if they like Lego, you can get them these little minifigures that customized to their like faces. I'm
trying to think. I feel like it really depends what sort of person they are, but you could get them like some sort of like photo book for like photos of your relationship.
Yeah, that's cute. I definitely used to do that quite a lot.
And
that's really nice because then you can just keep it and look back on it in years to come.
Or people make like mixtapes of like songs on a CD, or you can even pay like a company to make like a vinyl with different songs on.
Oh, that would be cool.
And you can like make the cover. I've seen that before.
That's actually a really good idea.
Or even like a Spotify playlist, and people, you know, you can get like the little QR code of a playlist, and people might get like a key ring and like give that as the present, like a key ring of a playlist you've made for them.
And if you're a crafty person, then making something is always cute.
Yeah, Josie's very into knitting, which
you probably heard by now. I'm
an 80-year-old woman.
I'm so obsessed with knitting at the moment. So
You could knit someone a
You
present.
might be expecting some knitted gifts. You look so excited.
I'm so excited. I don't like wool, it's itchy, but...
Yeah, don't worry, I've got an idea of something. But it's not something you would
wear.
wear.
For Valentine's Day, you're going to give me something?
No, for your birthday.
Oh, well, that's ages away. Oh, well, I'm very excited now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm just trying to think of Valentine's, like, what I've got my boyfriend in the past. I feel like a day out is fun. Like, I think before, for his birthday, I've been like, I've planned like a surprise day out in London, like I'm paying for your train ticket, I'm paying for dinner, I'm paying for like whatever, and I've planned like, yeah, we're going to go to this gallery or like
cute.
this event thing in London. So it could be fun to plan like an experience.
Yeah.
Or if you're bougie and have money to spend, you could book a holiday. That could be fun. Or like a mini break.
That's
or like
quite extra.
a weekend away could be cute.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like maybe just looking online, I know, but I feel like whenever I search like boy presents, it just comes up with like whiskey glasses and wallets.
It's like whiskey, pen knives,
wallets,
something for camping,
or
a beer glass. That's all
that comes up. I mean, if your partner likes alcohol, you could get them like their favorite wine or their favorite spirit or something. Or like tickets to a show could be good, like a theatre show if they like that, or like something like a sports event or something like that. I feel like there's so many things you could think of, but I feel like for me, Valentine's Day, I don't spend loads of money. Like, I just get like a token kind of gift or something cute if I see something in a shop, and then I just get them a card. Like, I feel like it's more about, for me, like spending the day together than like the actual present behind it.
Yeah.
But I still want a present, my boyfriend, if you're listening. So please get me something this year. Last year, I asked for the Sol de Janeiro Bum Bum Cream for Valentine's Day, but my boyfriend didn't really understand what it was. And you know,
it
like,
does sound weird. Can I have some bum cream?
Yeah, it's just like moisturizer for your body,
cream,
but it's called bum cream. And you know, they have like the big tubs. I wanted like a big tub, and he got me one that was like this big because he was like, but it was like £15. I thought it was gonna be big, and it was like the tiny travel size one. And I was like, oh, thank you, but like I was a bit sad because I was like hoping for one of the big tubs.
Yeah.
But yeah, so if you are a boyfriend listening, I don't know if we have many male listeners.
No, we don't. Our analytics tell us that we have barely any.
Is it like 1%? Well, if you're the
I think
one
it's like
male,
5%.
the 1 or 5 males watching, if your boyfriend or girlfriend asks for bum bum cream, make sure you're getting them the right size, because it can be confusing. But yeah, I feel like presents is such a weird thing on Valentine's Day, and like every couple does it differently, but I think it is good to ask, like, if this is your first Valentine's with your partner, kind of assess.
You don't want to have a mismatch.
Yeah, you don't want one of you
awkward.
to get like loads of presents and one of you to get nothing.
You just have a quick, we're doing this year, yeah?
Yeah,
you need that.
Like,
you need
what's
that
the
for
vibe
sure.
for Valentine's Day? Yeah, like,
you don't want to be mismatched.
Or like get your friend to like maybe give them some ideas or something, or like ask their friend like, what did they used to do with their ex? Like, what would they do on Valentine's Day? But yeah, I feel like it's a funny time of year, and it's all just kind of made up, isn't it?
Yeah, I feel like, I don't know, I am a bit of a Scrooge, but I think it's just because I'm so exhausted from Christmas by that point, and I'm like, I can't go back in with another holiday. It's too soon. I need a break.
Yeah. One thing I do like about Valentine's Day, though, is all the home decor in the shops, because so many shops will make really cute like heart stuff for your house, and I'm very much a pink house decor, very girly kind of vibes, so that sort of thing I want in my house all year round, and you can't normally buy stuff like that in like the high street shops. So every year on Valentine's Day I will go to like Tiger. They have such cute heart and pink stuff, like Sawston Green, that's one of my favorite homeware shops. They're probably gonna have really cute stuff. And like even like the supermarkets will have like Sainsbury's Home will have cute stuff, and like TK Maxx. So I'm very excited. I need to go actually, because it's coming up to Valentine's Day. I need to go to the shops and like have a look at all their like heart-shaped stuff. I saw in TK Maxx, one of my friends Zoe posted a TikTok about, they had like these wine glasses that were like heart-shaped, like the actual sipping part. Are you not convinced, Josie? Are you
This is where we're very different.
You're not excited by that? I'm very excited by that. She's looking at me like,
I'm not excited.
Why is that not excited? A heart-shaped wine glass? That's so cute.
Because it would be really annoying to drink from. And anyway, you don't even like wine.
And heart-shaped glass straws.
You don't like wine.
Yeah, but I could put Coke in it. Whenever I make, like, if I'm making me and my boyfriend dinner and I want it to be like a special dinner, I'll put our Pepsi Max in wine glasses. of
That's
ice.
cute.
So
That
it
is
like looks cute on the table.
But yeah.
So I could put my heart-shaped ones on the table.
Yeah, I think maybe you're just more of an aesthetic gal than me. I'm just a bit. I just like things that are like nice quality, but like just normal versions of
See,
them.
I'd rather have like cute little heart wine glasses than just boring glass.
Maybe
like,
I'm
normal
just
glasses.
boring.
Yeah. Well, I'm very excited to go Valentine's
Yeah, well,
Day
that's
shopping.
cute. I'm glad. I'm happy for you. I am.
Yeah,
I
and,
don't.
like,
I don't want
A
to bring
little
you down.
heart
You know.
pajamas. That's a really cute present. If you want to get like matching little heart pajamas with your boyfriend, that would be really cute. Josie's not convinced at all. She's doing like the worst face of disgust. How cute is that? Little heart-shaped pajamas. Or with your girls, if you're doing like Valentine's Day presents, you could all wear little heart-shaped pajamas and have like a little heart-shaped pizza making night with the heart-shaped wine glasses. See that? I would like to do that.
I have no comment.
You would not like to do that. Josie's such a Scrooge. But that's what I'm going to be doing this weekend.
Yeah,
You're just going to be sat.
I'm glad for you. I am. And I'm not saying that in a bitchy way. I mean it. I'm trying to be happy for you.
Anyway, one thing I think is always a good idea if you need a present idea on Valentine's Day is flowers. I feel like that's the most obvious present. But then
that is classic.
I like
flowers.
I like the act of receiving flowers. Like I like the thought. It's very thoughtful. But then the actual like when you get them and you have to put them in a vase and stuff, it's quite long. And then
I just always have, so what I do is I have a vase that has fake flowers in it, and then I also have a secondary vase so that when I get real flowers, I can put the real flowers in the nice vase and then put the fake flowers in the secondary vase, and then it's all fine.
Yeah, but I just always forget to like fill the water up, and then like sometimes.
To be fair, I do leave it until they die and then it goes all mouldy and gross.
Yeah,
but that's just part of the experience.
I'm going to be honest, it's happened to me before where I got flowers and then I went on holiday for a week and I come back and there's all like fruit flies.
Yeah, you do have to chuck them away because it can get mouldy.
I would probably better appreciate if someone bought me like a living plant, like in a pot.
Yeah.
Or like flowers that are growing so they won't die. Or like
I do actually tend to buy people plants now over flowers.
Yeah, because it's going to last like way longer. Or like just fake flowers. I would rather get some nice fake flowers.
I did have a phase when it was my wedding. I went a bit crazy and just started making paper flowers.
Yeah, that's
out
cute,
of crepe
though.
paper, and that's really fun.
People get like the Lego flowers as well. That's a cute present.
Yeah, that's cute as well. Yeah, there's lots of different ways you can have flowers rather than just having fresh ones.
Yeah, but for me, I like getting plants like these plants we have here, just like from my flat. And
yeah,
I like having them. I feel like it makes the flat feel much more like homey and like cozy and nice.
And it gives you oxygen.
Yeah, it's good for your brain and your oxygen levels. Yeah. Okay, I think that's all the questions we have time for. I hope you all have a really nice Valentine's Day, whatever you're doing. I mean, Josie sounds like she's just going to be sat at home.
Or whether you want to have a heart-shaped wine glass.
I want a heart-shaped wine glass. I'm going to go shopping after this to look for heart-shaped wine glasses. But I really hope you're going to have a good weekend. Reminder that your self-worth is not based on whether the fact you are in a relationship or not, or what presents you get from your partner or anything. I think the main thing I would say to all of you is just make sure if you can to be, in a happy, if you're in a relationship, make sure it's a happy and healthy one. And if you're not feeling properly supported and loved, then being single is not a bad thing, like we said, and sometimes you're better off being on your own on Valentine's Day than with someone, but with someone that's not treating you very nice. So always remember that yourself and your self-worth is more important than like feeling the pressure of having to be with someone on Valentine's Day. But yeah, I hope you're all having a good week, no matter what you're doing. Make sure you're following us on all our socials for the podcast at My Big Sister Podcast. Give us a little review on Spotify if you're listening on there, and a little follow and subscribe wherever else. But yeah, I hope you're doing really well. If you want to keep up to date with me and Josie personally, in the meantime, my accounts are all at Grace Tutty.
And I'm Josie V Tutty on Instagram and other platforms.
Yeah, but yeah, we will see you all next Wednesday. We hope you're having a good week and happy Valentine's Day. Bye, guys.
Bye.